Hello, boys and girls. You're now listening and watching to the third episode of Peter Talks Sports. Again, this is episode 3 of Peter Talks Sports. This episode is a football heavy one, okay? I understand there's other sports going on, basketball, so on and so forth. But the meat and potatoes of the sporting news right now is between the NFL playoffs and the college football playoff final between Alabama and Clemson, and and also the coaching situation. So, again, Peter Talks Sports is more or less a hot take, not an overall sports review, but just sort of a hot take on what's going on in the world of sports. Again, so in playoff season and college football, bowls and all that stuff, and firings and all that shit, that's what I'm focusing on today. I'm not even going to talk about my Pacers because it's not even, what is there to talk about? I would say the only thing in the world other than football to talk about right now, it's Kobe Bryant, and it's just like, okay, I get it. This is last season. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's get into this motherfucker right now. And the first thing we're going to talk about, because last week we had Black Monday. I mean, we already had like coaching firings, and we had Black Monday. We had Chip Kelly the week before, Coughlin and all that shit, right? Last week, and this was Thursday, was the firing of Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And all I got to do is I'll probably get my my Sleg Daddy on. And why did they fire Lovie Smith? Because they're stupid. I don't know of any other organization outside of, say, Snyder over in Washington, or, say, the family in Cleveland, or Irsay and the Colts, or the Raiders, who are finally getting it together. But whatever the fuck's going on down there in Tampa Bay, they're a bunch of idiots. They're a bunch of fucks. They should not own anything professional athletic related whatsoever. They shouldn't. They should. You know how they did homeboy from the Clippers last year, and he made his fucking racist remarks and shit like that? The other owners came in and they said, you know what? You got to get the fuck up out of here. We're going to give you some change, but you got to get the fuck up out of here. And we're talking about organizations, professional organizations. We're not talking about like just some whatever. We're talking about the movement of millions and thousands of dollars. We're talking about people's livelihoods here. We're talking about so much stuff dealing with professional athletics, and it's something when you talk about the NBA and their lack of competence on the East Coast to how to run fucking organizations. They're all tanking and fucking firing coaches left and right, firing like GMs and this, that, and the other, and drafting these guys that they won't allow to give 3 to 4 year curves on. Right? Then you have these people in the NFL that just won't get it right. As long as, the pieces will fall. It's like a game of Tetris. You see the blocks falling, and it looks like they start stacking up. But then there's that one hope that one block, that maybe that long block would just knock out all the fucking the blocks that are stacked up. But no, man, the way that a lot of these NFL teams are ran is just like, no. If they do get that one block that's coming down that looks like maybe it's 8 blocks, 7, 8 blocks, 9 blocks up, that one block can at least knock out 6 of those blocks, that sumbitch will turn that sumbitch sideways. They're turning it sideways, and they're fucking stacking on top of the hole that needs to go in to fucking knock out those blocks. And then they get closer to the ceiling. That's what the fucking Tampa Bay Buccaneers just did by firing Lovie Smith. A decent guy. He made it to the Super Bowl against fucking the Colts not too long ago. It's just that Bears organization got stale in terms of its its players and higher ups and all that shit. It just got stale and they lost focus. So a guy gets a new leash on life. He's given this opportunity down in Tampa. He's been given, these young draft picks and all this. They get to, what is this? He's 6-10. He came in. Josh Matthew, whatever the fuck his name, Josh something, who was the quarterback. Now I don't know I think he's a Colt or whatever. Josh Freeman, and then they had all these fuck ups. They had that one coach that came over. It was just completely annihilated that organization. Lovie Smith gets in there, and it's like, oh yeah. What do you think he's going to do his first season? Win a fucking Super Bowl? Are you nuts? I think they won like 2 games. And it's like, okay, they got Jameis Winston, right? They got Josh McCown, his old ass, trying to throw fucking touchdowns. And a couple of other guys down there, they just couldn't make sense of what to do with the quarterback situation. The coordinator's all out of fucking whack because the last coach left with all those guys. So you're trying to develop all these new guys, right? And then you take Lovie Smith, and I'm going to try to end this quick. He comes in, he turns the team around. They go from 2 wins, 6 wins. It's called uphill, going uphill. Uphill battle dealing with other professional athletics and other sports and other teams in your division. The division of the South, it could be anyone's ball game. Right now, the Carolina Panthers are kicking ass and taking names, right? You have the Atlanta Falcons. They started off, but then they went down to fucking, a fucking deep end. But then New Orleans, they just won a Super Bowl not too long ago, right? So between the Falcons, the Saints, they got Drew Brees, they got Sean Payton, right? I mean, granted, Atlanta Falcons, they just got a new coach, so they got to get into their own rhythm. They got 6 wins, and then they went down to deep end. But at least they beat us. They kept us from winning a fucking having an undefeated season. But then you got the Tampa Bay Bucks full of a bunch of young guys. And if they would have kept Lovie Smith, we could have been the Saints would have got better. I don't know what's going to happen over there, but just saying, just look at the pieces they have right now. You know what? They're fine. They suck, but you know what? All it takes is just a change in something, philosophy, and that would be just fine, right? Atlanta Falcons, Panthers, Bucks, they could be the new best team in the NFC because the NFC East is dog horrible, right? The NFC fucking North, all that is just the Green Bay Packers. And then we have the West, which is, pretty dominant right now between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. San Francisco, they're not going to get any better anytime soon. And the Rams, it sucks that they have to be in that division. But goddamn, man, you're really going to throw out Lovie Smith just like that because we got to win now. What the fuck did he do? I guarantee it had nothing to do with his accomplishments with that team and maybe something to do with behind the scenes. And that bullshit ass, I don't even know the name of that family or that name of that investment group that owns that fucking team. But I guarantee you it had a lot to do with something that they just didn't agree on, just butt heads on. Lovie Smith is a good coach, and there's a lot of openings right now. He'll probably get a coordinator job somewhere, but this is not the last of Lovie Smith. Not the last at all. I think he's only like in his 50s. That guy has a lot of coaching ahead of him. So they'll probably get him somewhere as a coordinator, and then he'll get another job somewhere. But shame on you, Tampa Bay. Shame on you for allowing that to happen. Yeah, who the Dirk Coulter? Huh. The fuck, he's the offensive coordinator. Whatever, dude. So we're going to talk about the playoffs right now. And in my predictions, I thought I was going to go 100%, but I ended up going 3 for 4. The Vikings versus the Seahawks. They played in like 100 below 0 degrees, and it ended in a botched field goal. I can't even think of the kicker's name right now. But, apparently he put up a bunch of points for them, and then that was the one that he fucking blew. And you have to grant it, man. I mean, they try to bring up the old Ace Ventura laces in, laces out thing, but maybe he choked. That weather didn't help. I mean, for the field goals he did hit, I imagine they were tough. But to go ahead and now, I don't know what it is about sports, and I don't know if these are fabrications or maybe just one or two people that do it and they make it sound like 200 fucking people did it. But like people who are just like on his ass, hitting him up on Twitter, threatening his life, threatening his family's life, get a life. That's the worst thing I hate about sports. Whenever racism and death threats come through, just like PK, what the hell is his name? PK Sabin or something. Sabin. That plays, I think he plays for some team for Washington, for NHL, and it's been twice last season when he beat the fucking Boston Bruins, and all these fucking hate like racist tweets came out. That's not good for sports, man. It's not good for sports at all. And people who are threatening anybody, it's just a fucking sport. Like, stop with that. I wish I'd known like any of my crew that did some shit like that sent a tweet or like did something to where they threatened a person's life. I'll step in and whoop their ass. I'd be like, what are you doing? This guy's just he's just a football player. Calm the hell down. God, sports, man. Sports fans, they get on my nerves. But yeah, anyway, I predicted, however it went down, I had the Seahawks going in. Wasn't their best performance, but granted, it's what it is. Kansas City versus Texas, not even worth talking about. Kansas City is clicking again. They're 11-win team going into the postseason. Very quiet. They got just great pieces. They're clicking on all the cylinders. Coach, running back, wide receiver, defense, just whatever. I expected the Texans, they don't have a quarterback, whatever. It's not like Brian Hoyer's going to take you to the fucking promised land. At the same time, they only won 3 games last season, and the Chiefs made it to the playoffs, okay? So it's not even goes worth saying. Green Bay beats Washington. Now, that was the one I got wrong. I thought Green Bay was playing like crap. Going into this, they go up against a team like Washington with momentum, but very young. This game, it came down to running. And now I'm listening to sports talk, and everyone's sucking the living hell out of Aaron Rodgers' dick. And I go, what? What? Why are you sucking Aaron Rodgers' dick? He didn't win that game. Aaron Rodgers did some things, and he managed the game. But you know who won that game? That offensive line and Starks and Lacey. There was one time I was watching the game having my wings. I was at a place called Gray's down the street. My homeboy Cole comes in. There's a couple across the bar from me while I'm having my wings. And we're sitting there going, oh my God, they're just going to run this fucking ball. Like if Aaron Rodgers passes, it was this one moment, I think, when they took the lead. And they just said, we're just going to run this thing. They went from like the 20-yard line, 15-yard line, and just ran Starks and ran Lacey all the way to the end zone. I sat back and go, is Rodgers is not going to throw this ball. They found the weakness for the Redskins, and that's their interior tackle. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't. They just couldn't. And Starks and Lacey, it was his handoff. I'm turning to my boy Cole. I said, man, he's going to hand this motherfucker off again. He hands it off. I was like, oh my God, he's going to hand it off. Dude, if he passed this ball, he's crazy. He hands it off. Like, man, is he going to hand that ball off again? Handoff, 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 handoff. I think for the rest of the game after that sequence of 2 touchdowns with just running, I think he threw the ball maybe 4 or 5 more times the rest of that game. I'm exaggerating a little bit. He maybe threw it like 8, 9 more times. But, like, it's Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers throws the ball, he didn't have to. It looked like the Washington Redskins all of a sudden turned into the Indianapolis Colts in terms of like rush tackle. Like they couldn't stop a running nose. It was amazing to watch. And then all of a sudden everyone's like Aaron Rodgers. I was like, no, stop that. This probably had 30%. That game had 30% to do with Aaron Rodgers because he's been playing like garbage. He's been playing scared. And he still was kind of playing scared. Eddie Lacy and Starks, they are the MVPs of that game. And then we get to the craziness, the absolute craziness. Not even the game itself, I guess it was kind of screwy. But my God, that last fucking 2 minutes, I'm at work. I DJ on weekends, and I'm at work. So, and we got like a little birthday party going on in that motherfucker too. So we're at a bar, and I'm going back and forth between, songs and watch this game, right? I predicted that the Bengals would lose. They're not going to win with McCarron. But it wasn't that the Bengals lost because of McCarron. They lost because of their defense. It was this moment, they got no Ben Roethlisberger, right? He went down, I think Burfict or whatever, dude. He took him out early in the game. They carted his ass out, and Landry's in there. I come back, I was like, what the fuck Landry's doing in there? I done missed that Burfict had taken out Roethlisberger. And, dude, it's like the Bengals had it. And it was just that one last drive, they put Roethlisberger out there. He's at fucking 10%. If this is like a fight game and the bar, if you can see the bar at the top of the screen and whatnot, that son bitch is in the red. That's what Ben Roethlisberger, he was just out there to just hand the ball off or just throw it with faith on his side, right? But sure enough, right at the very end, we get Burfict with this fucking, they say he clipped it. You could look at it. Did he hit him? Did he not hit him? Did he try to clip him? Is Antonio Brown concussion protocol? All this stuff. Who knows? Who cares? But they moved up 15 yards. So they're on the 40-yard line. I'm like, they could get to the fucking 35. They could get to the 35. It's Ben. Even though he's like on his last leg, it's Ben. I have faith in Ben. But we get a 15-yard penalty. We get another 15-yard penalty because of Adam Jones' contact with the ref. And they get 30 yards. Just like that. I mean, going, oh my God, are they really going to are the Bengals really going to throw this game away? I mean, all they had to do was just play solid defense. Nothing extraordinary. There's no need to blow anybody up. Now, whether it was a bad tackle or not, maybe he overindulged. He didn't have to make that type of tackle. All he had to do, honestly, seriously, everybody on that fucking defense for the Bengals, just stay the course. And just pray that you could stop at least one. They could get the first down, but stop that second first down. That's all they had to do. No. It went in there. Then it turned into a complete fucking mess. Dude, I mean, I'm going back and forth, like scratching my head, looking at everyone in the party, just going like, what the hell is happening? So Burfict he hits. You find out he's suspended for his hits. But then you get the coaches for the Steelers, Joey Porter, that came out onto the field. He's not a player. He ran out onto the field after they hit to sort of chastise, not necessarily chastise, but go after the Bengals players. Like, what the fuck is he doing out there? Then we got Mike Munchak, who grabs the hair of another player. I don't know who the hair he pulled, but he yanks old boy's hair. Maybe it was Jones or somebody Burfict. He yanked his hair. Nothing from those guys. No penalties, no calls, no nothing. They're going to get fined. But right now we're dealing with Burfict being suspended for 3 games and fined for that hit. Pac-Man Jones, Adam Jones got on I was listening to the fucking Dan Patrick show yesterday, and he explained what he witnessed. He said, man, that dude ain't hurt. And Burfict, it was a hit. It was nothing illegal about that hit. He turns that Antonio Brown, Pac-Man Jones says, He turns to Antonio Brown. He goes, Brown, hey, AB, you okay? He said he gives him a wink, and that he deserved a Grammy for his performance. He meant Oscar, but it's still he started a fucking trend of how to talk. I mean, of a Grammy award winning performance versus an Oscar winning performance of how he sold it. Now, Antonio Brown apparently got cleared for concussion protocol. Apparently, he didn't have a concussion. Did he fake the injury? Did he play it up? Hey, it's the world of sports. It's all about the call. Watch soccer sometimes. And Burfict getting 3 games because of a cumulative infractions. That hit on Antonio Brown made his 13th personal foul of the season. He led the league in most personal fouls, and I just go like, wow, that is something. That is something. Are they focusing on him like they did Harrison in Pittsburgh? Maybe they are. Is Burfict he's a threat to the game? Is he someone you just not supposed to keep out there because he's a detriment to the game? Maybe. But I was listening to DP today and Reggie Miller, who's my favorite athlete of all time. He's talking about Burfict and how he saw a lot of Ron Artest and Burfict. And he's only 25 years old. And apparently he sees the game one way. Hit hard, blow people up. And when he was at Arizona State, said it was the same thing. You watch the game just to see who he's going to fucking blow up. Maybe this isn't the last team that he'll be on. And Reggie made a point. He said, well, whatever team he goes to next, it will be a better Burfict. Just like when Artest went to the Lakers or Houston, they got a better Artest. Maybe there's a chance for Burfict. I don't know what to say about the 3-game suspension. I don't know what to say because it's not about a hit. If he is a detriment, that's what he is, a detriment. He doesn't have 13 personal fouls, out of the blue. That's something that you work on. It's hard to get a personal foul in the NFL. Very hard. So if you get 13, I think there is a cause for action. There is a call for action. And I guess anyone who's against it would be, what if someone else, and you want to throw maybe race, you want to throw another team in and this, that, and the other. That's 13 penalties, man. And 13 penalties. I look at it as 13 penalties. And maybe he does need to sit down. Maybe he does need to take a bow for a hot second. But for the most part, maybe he needs a coach that won't take his shit. Okay, talent over error wins always. You're gonna pick that person with talent. It could fuck up a billion times. Just look at Ndamukong Suh. Just look at the Kraken that played for Carolina. What the hell is his name? It'll lose me right now. But now he plays for the Cowboys. And you go, why are those guys being, blackballed, for just, I guess, either on or off the field hijinks? And then you look at a guy like, Ray Rice, whose era is on camera. He has a woman. He's blackballed. But you know the difference between those guys and Rice? Rice was in the decline. He wasn't that talented. So no one's going to take high reward for high risk for him, but they would take high reward for high risk for these guys. The thing about Burfict, that hit, and again, call it for what you want. The play was called. It happened. The personal foul. He cost his team a playoff berth. And will he be a Bengal next season? For the first 3 games, he's not going to be anybody's player. Maybe they go, you have to go, along with a coach who's been 5 straight times, and Marvin Lewis. Dude, Bengals would be dumb to fire Lewis. They would be dumb. They'd be as dumb as Tampa Bay getting rid of Smith. But 5 straight times, first round eliminations. It's something has to be different. Something has to change, whether it's the coaching staff, the coaching style, the people that you hire as players. Adam Jones, Burfict. Those two guys cost them that game. That's 15 yards apiece for a field goal. Pittsburgh Steelers move on. And they win 18-16 in a game that's just... We're going to talk about this game for another week, I think. I really think. Even during the game, next game Pittsburgh's in, I think they play... the Patriots. They're going to talk about that Bengals game. And the last thing I'll talk about and try to get this shit done, again, episode 3, Peter Talks Sports. Alabama beats Clemson 45-40 in a game that, I was watching Monday Night Raw and the game at the same time, and it was what it was. It was a slugfest. Clemson, I predicted that Clemson was going to win because not only did they had a decent defense, but I really thought the offense and the quarterbacking, him just being like, I can't even think of his name right now, but he is damn good. And just the coaching, the offensive coaching of that fucking team is really, really good. And I thought that was going to outweigh just Alabama having a good defense, great defense, and a mediocre offense. But it came down to an onside kick. It came down to a recovered onside kick. And things like that will take the wind out of any team. I don't give a fuck who you are. There's certain things in sports that happen to just take shit out of out of your momentum. An onside kick can ruin everything for a team. And they got it. And that was the reason why they won. Special teams. Lane Kiffin and them. And what do? You scratch your head. You look at the Clemson team. You look at your season. You go, you know what? You guys held your head high. Like, you have no reason to hold your head low, hang your head at all. You had a great season. It came down to I don't want to call onside kick a fluke play. It's a play that's effective if done right. Hell, there's even a football coach in high school that only does onside kicks. It's like the percentages of an onside kick being successful is too high not to try it every once in a while or more often. But it caught everyone off guard, just like the Seahawks. They did an onside kick in a Super Bowl. Believe that. Was it the Seahawks or was it Baltimore? Well, anyway, it happened. I think it was Baltimore. They did an onside kick, and it basically won them a Super Bowl. Saban won 5 championships. It's his 5th championship he has one with LSU, and this is 4th with Alabama. And right now the talks, is he going to the pros? And somebody mentioned New York, and then there's speculation of him possibly going to Tampa Bay. Either or, I could give a shit. I could give a rat's ass what Nick Saban does. If he wants to stay in Carolina, if he wants to stay in Alabama, I say stay to fucking Alabama. But he wants to prove himself. That's sports talk that I just want to avoid altogether. Like Calipari and the fact that he may go to Brooklyn. I don't want to get into that's sports talk. I talk sports, but sports talk, when they don't factor in money, they factor in like pride and gut and instinct and like will and determination and all that shit. And like something to prove. I'm not buying into that kind of conversation. I'm sorry. Just not gonna be able to do it. I'm sorry. So Nick Saban will probably stay in Alabama. But being that the football news cycle has to run the entire year, college and pros, they're going to keep up with this. What is Nick Saban going to do as much as Deflategate? I promise you that. What is Nick Saban going to do? It's going to own the entire summer. What's going to be happening? Baseball, basketball, spring into the summer? Yeah, they're going to talk about what Nick Saban's going to do. And it's like, fuck. That's the only thing about the football that I can't stand. It's its off-season coverage. It sucks. It's nerve-wracking because you're gonna get beaten in the head. You know, you're just gonna get beaten in the head over and over and over and over with something that just absolutely serves no purpose other than to fill time and to keep the NFL, because it's NFL, it's college football. We're always gonna talk about it. Hell, this Peter Talks Sports, it's only football related. So I'm no fool. I'm just saying. What happens with the coaching? What happens with Saban? What happens with Chip Kelly? You know, what happens with all these coaches? Blah 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 blah. And what happens with Burfict? And they're going to talk about hitting and all that stuff, and then just on and on about things that I just don't care about, that could give a rat's ass about. So if they're going to talk about Nick Saban, man, I won't be talking about it. I'm talking about as much as I am now, because it'd be the last thing you heard about coming out of my mouth until he finally says, hey, I'm staying in Alabama or I'm going to an NFL team. The same with Calipari. I'm not going to participate in this conversation. No more than I'm going to take part in the conversation with what the Broncos are going to do with their quarterbacking situation. Like, no, I'm just sorry. I'm not going to do that. Not at all. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, good luck next year, Clemson. You will be the number one preseason. They already have them at number one preseason because they got a lot of returning pieces. They have Alabama second. But Clemson, you did the ACC well. Kudos to you. I'm proud of everything you've done this year. No one just comes out of the blue and wins stuff like that, and y'all did. So you have nothing to be ashamed of. You went above and beyond the Call of Duty. Alabama, again, it was like watching The Empire Strikes Back, just seeing Nick Saban win and just looking at all the Alabama fans. You're online, you blah, 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 roll tide. Like, you know what? Granted, congratulations, Alabama. You won't win it next year, all I'm saying. And you look at the coaching tree, too. Urban Meyer last year, Nick Saban this year. This is all Belichick. And speaking of Belichick, what the fuck is he doing with a black eye? Bill Belichick himself before he wrecks himself. Hit the subscription button. I'm pointing to the subscription button if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, just add me to your favorites, man. Add me to your favorites. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can follow me, Ellen Japanese, LINJAPNESE. If you also like wrestling, I do a bunch of wrestling podcasts. Peter's Raw Recap that I did last night. Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. Peter Talks SmackDown. If you're into wrestling, subscribe and you listen to that shit too. Even if you don't like wrestling, I like to think I talk about it pretty hilariously. I mean, you just joke about it. I mean, you laugh about it and then want to peek in and see what the hell's going on. Like, what the? It sounds interesting enough. Let me check out what the hell's going on in wrestling. Regardless. So yeah, just add me to your favorites list in all those other mediums I just spoke about. Like the video, like the podcast, the audio streams. Comment below, leave a comment, this, that, and the other. And also, I already did my predictions in 2. So whatever. I'll come back next week about who's going to win in the AFC, the NFC, who's going to represent the two leagues in the Super Bowl. But yeah, make sure you come back for that. Go back, listen to part 2 to see who I had winning in the second round as well. But I guess being that Green Bay won and they will go up against the Cardinals, I would definitely say that the only thing different is, I still see the Cardinals going to. No. I apologize. I had Green Bay. I still got the Panthers. They go up against the Panthers. So I have the Panthers still representing the NFC going against the Cardinals. So that's the only thing that's different. But it's still the same result. But anyway, come back next week for Peter Talks Sports. So much shit going on in my head right now. Episode 4. Come back and we'll talk some more football. Maybe I'll get some basketball in there. If you're a Pacers fan, I'll throw some Pacers news in there and so forth. So, all right, guys, watch out for those foreign objects. Peace.